What is it that you want to do? We want to be free. We want to be free to do what we want to do. And we want to get loaded. And we want to have a good time. That's what we're going to do. Well, wait, let's go. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have a party.
Oh, you stopped it there. All right, we're good to go now. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
It's copyright Eve.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Fatback 4. I'm your host, Gav. With me, I have Ian, I have Marty, and I have Matt. Matt, do you want to explain why Grizz is not here this week?
No.
No. Ian, would you like to?
I get arrested.
Okay. Marty, would you like to?
No.
No, I'll tell you why. He was last week he was convinced that his internet wasn't working because there was less things in his house due to him moving. And this week he wasn't sure whether he had a house or whether the internet in that house would work. So you make of that what you will. But we're all here. The four of us are here, and look, shall we get going? The intro music, ignore it. We're trying not to get. We're trying not to get sued. Well, Matt's trying not to get sued. What are we going to talk about tonight? We're going to talk about Adam Lallana. I want to talk about Joe Gomez and Mane contract situations. Might touch on FSG a little bit as well. And then we're going to do a quiz. And it's a quiz with a little bit of a difference. There's going to be loads of cheating involved because we don't really care how it works out. But we'll explain that as we go along. Ian, I'm going to come to you first. Adam Lallana, let's get straight into it. He goes on international duty. He doesn't do a training session. He's out for God knows how long, and he's posting on Instagram telling us it's all going to be great and he can't wait to get back and play a massive part in the season. Are you starting to get genuinely worried for him and his Liverpool career?
I don't know if worried's the right word, but I do think he's coming towards the end of his career. He can't stay fit. To be honest with you, I didn't even know he was uninjured in time to go with England. I still thought he was injured from previously. So I'm like 3 injuries behind, but
you can get it on box set. There's a box set of it you can get. Catch up.
Yeah, catch up.
You can binge watch Adam Lallana's injuries.
Mate, a fully fit and firing Lallana, I think is a good asset. I've always been a big fan. I think he was possibly the very first player under Klopp who actually got what Klopp wanted. Do you know what I mean? And he triggered a lot of our defensive movements and our pressing and stuff like that. But since then, the team's progressed, and he hasn't been part of that progression because he hasn't been fit. So I think you've got a player. You've got our midfield now. There's maybe 6 midfielders who are ahead of him. So I just don't see where he's ever, unless he was permanently fit and permanently chomping at the bit. I just can't see him ever getting back in. There's rumours now that we're going to be entertaining bids for him in January as well, which wouldn't surprise me. He's approaching 30 if he isn't already. And he's made out of crisp. He's this season's Daniel Sturridge.
Yeah, it started off to me that it looked a bit unfortunate at times with his injuries. Then it got a little bit frustrating, and now it's nearing an end game in my opinion. Matt, you're going to tell me no, and you're going to tell me that he's going to be integral from January on. Is that right?
No. What was your question?
Do you want to tell why Grizz is... No, that was the other one, sorry. Adam Lallana, what's the crack with him? Tell us, Matt.
It was a mad shout letting him go to England, in my opinion. I don't think any player should go on international unless he's played back for his team again. If he's fit, I mean. It's like, why would you disrupt his training schedule, which they've obviously spent a lot of time putting together? It's just stupid sending him off again, travelling and playing under a different coach and training. It's people go away and get injured all the time. It's a stupid decision. But the good thing is, we're unlike 2 seasons ago. We don't miss him. Like Ian was saying, he used to be integral, and now he's a great option to have. But we can more than get by without him, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I mean, I'm not too bothered about him at the moment. There's a lot of other midfielders around, and yeah, he might come useful towards the end of the season. But if he goes in January. I wouldn't miss him too much at the moment.
Marty, he plays most of the pre-season, if not all of it. He gets a lot of minutes under his belt, and at the start of the season there was, the Fabinho thing. Is he fit? You had Henderson coming back from a World Cup, and through all of this, his name was never getting mentioned for a spot in the team if anyone was needed, whether that be a midfielder or up front. Had he got something to worry about before he even gets this injury?
Yeah, I get the impression if we had managed to get an attacking midfielder in, obviously I won't mention he who shall not be mentioned in the summer, but for example, I feel if we had got that one over the line or someone of that position, I think we may have seen Lallana move on. I think Klopp's probably looked at that position with what you would call kind of a number 10, but someone that plays in between the centre mids and the front three. And if we're obviously with Oxlade-Chamberlain, I think that's the one area we're light. I think this will be his last season. I agree with Matt. I think it was suicidal to let him go on international duty and get called up. But like I said, I think he probably would have gone if we had got somebody else to replace him. I think he's just here basically to kind of pad the squad out with the idea that he will very rarely get used. Maybe a League Cup game or 10 minutes here and there, but I think it's just a matter of when rather than if for Lallana now.
Ian, you touched on the way he plays and if he's fit and stuff like that. Do you agree with the lads that it could be his last season and, he had things to worry about before the season starts, just these injuries have compounded it, and I suppose he gets like a stay of execution, I suppose, because we don't get Feck here, who would probably be seen as someone that would have taken his place in the squad. Yeah,
he should have been worried because if he was a permanent fixture, then we possibly wouldn't have been looking at attacking midfielders. We've already got Oxlade-Chamberlain, obviously he's injured. But you wouldn't buy someone just because he's injured if you've got Lallana and Lallana's in your sights. Do you know what I mean? So I do think he was going to struggle this year. It's the history's there that he can't stay fit for long, which is a shame because I've spoken about him a few times and I'm a big fan. I think he's technically brilliant. I think he holds onto the ball a bit too long. You know what I mean? And that's not always conducive with how we want to play now. But yeah, I think the writing's on the wall for him. We still get a decent bit of money for him if he can get fit. I think we'll get a decent wedge for him in January, and then he'll just move on and we'll replace him with a younger version.
Yeah, just touching on that, Matt. Say January comes and we have offers for Adam Lallana. Is it something where you might see Liverpool going back in for a Feck here probably or someone of that ilk? Because I can't see Liverpool letting him go and not replacing him. I think he has a really kind of good balanced squad at the minute.
With Ox being out pretty much most of the season, I can't see him going unless we bring someone in. I don't know. Klopp would be mad. I know he's got his injuries, but like Studge, he'll still, if he can give you 15 to 20 games, you might as well keep on to him and get the money in the summer. You'll probably get more money if he gets through a few games for you as well. If we get someone in, yeah, fair enough, bin him off. But I can't see many teams looking at him thinking, he's the one I want to get in January. He's not going to be reliable for the rest of the season. You want to see him get at least 3-4 months, a good 3-4 month run in without injuries before you put in good money for him. I mean, what can we let him go for? 15 million? Is it worth it? Is 10 million?
Yeah, I think the only way you get a good price, especially if he doesn't play a hell of a lot of games between now and Christmas, say, is if somebody's desperate enough, somebody that's looking for someone to help them in a relegation battle or stay away from.
Hey, West Ham are always desperate for someone.
No, like a West Ham or a Newcastle or somebody like that.
Always West Ham.
Yeah, no, it could be. Let me see. Damo says that Lallana could be important for training Alisson to do the Cruyff turns. Yeah, that's a fair point. Someone else asks, do we get compensation because he's been injured on international duty? I genuinely don't know. We do, yeah.
The way it used to work, it's not compensation. They just pay his wages for the duration that he was out injured. Yeah, that's how it works.
Okay. Kevin Sullivan says, don't rule out a move for Maddison. This kid could be top drawer, and it's someone that he'd love to go and sign. I think we are linked with him in the summer.
January though.
Who, Maddison?
Yeah, because he's only just signed for Leicester and he can't play for 3 teams in a year.
Does that still exist, yeah?
As far as I know.
Ian's just made that point and got off. All right.
Going to check his dictionary to see if it's
right. Me tell you unpaused.
But no, yeah, that's a fair point on Maddison. I never even thought of that. But yeah, the Lallana thing, you'll probably see Klopp answering some questions about him towards the Spurs game, because people will be wanting to know, like, how is he, and does this frustrate you? Klopp's going to have to kind of bat away all these questions. But look, only time will tell. Does anybody know exactly how long he's out for?
Apparently, back at the end of the month, say 2-3 weeks. 2
to 3 weeks. Okay. All right.
Just enough time to get 3 more dog shit haircuts.
Yeah. Shaq here says that Ian's opening the door to James Pearce. Yeah, he opened the door to James Pearce a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if they're still talking. Right. Let me see. Next. Contract situations. Matt, I'll come to you first. A few stories went out today that Joe Gomez is being lined up for a brand new contract with Liverpool. The long-term thing, an increase in money will be standard with that. A, do you believe it? And B, do you think we're right to do this, or are we just jumping on 4 to 5 good games? What's your feelings on it?
I haven't seen the rumours. I've been off Twitter today because of the UFC. Didn't want anyone to ruin it. Who did it come from? Was it reputable or fucking Grizz?
No. There was a couple of different people. There was a couple of different people that said it. So let's say it's semi-reputable. Marty's gone. Marty's finished. You'd swear Chris was never on this pod if you hated him. It's mad. But no, reputable enough. So what would your take be on it if we are looking at a new contract and up in money, all the usual stuff?
Yeah, fuck it, he's deserved it. He's played well last season. He's come in now in an important part of the season at the beginning when we've had the key centre-backs out, and he's come in and just fucking grabbed the chance by the bollocks. He deserves it. It doesn't matter if it's 5 games. He's done well so far, and by what everyone else says about him and his training and the way he is, he's going to keep improving, and he's got a very high ceiling, so it makes perfect sense to tie him down. Yeah.
Ian, it makes sense to tie him down. Do you agree with that? Do you see the potential in him? That, a lot of people were 50-50 on up until the start of the season. And is there an element of us not getting involved in this kind of Emre Can scenario again?
Not necessarily. It doesn't tend to happen with English players, especially young English players. I was never 50-50 on him. I've always backed him. I said last year, I thought he'd get a lot more games centre half this season. When the other bellend who's not on tonight said he'd probably be sold in the summer. So, you know what I mean? He's on the ball again. But
I'm lining up my next Twitter account, Gil, being honest with you.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think he'd have got to go this season anyway. But I think he's also benefited from the other 2 defenders being out injured as well. So I think he's the number 1 backup to VVD now, or his number 1 partner anyway. He's been outstanding all season. I can't imagine he's on much money in those terms. Do you know what I mean? I would imagine he's one of the lowest paid in that squad, because his last contract was when he was 20, possibly 19. So in that respect, he's probably due a contract extension. But now I've got no concerns about him running his deal down and leaving or anything like that, because you know what I mean? Who's he going to start for? Klopp's the one who's moulding him now. He's not going to go to a better side than Liverpool at the minute and start. So, no, I've got no concerns. I think he will sign a new deal, though, like a 5-year effort.
Yeah. Well, I think if the deal's on the table and the money is right, I don't think it's in much doubt. I think it's more, Liverpool wanting to do it rather than Gomez demanding it.
Apparently he's on 30 grand.
Yeah, I can see him going. I can see him doubling that, at least. Stephen Brown wants to know what's the name of the teeth whitening product that Matt is using. Matt, would you like to answer that?
A toothpaste, mate. You should try it sometime.
It's just toothpaste. Give it a bash, Steve Brown. I don't know. Or is he just using Daz on his... Oh, are you just using Daz... or is it Daz that you're using on your T-shirt?
Listen, Gav. Stop giving boring people fucking time on the pod and move on.
No, listen. Steve Brown is a very good friend of yours, and you need to answer these questions. Isn't that right? That's a mad-looking balcony Matt's on tonight as well, just for Steve's benefit. Marty, let's go with what Ian and Mav said. 5-year deal, probably double his money to 60. Could be more than that. Are you going with that? Are you happy with that?
Yeah, I think what Ian said, he's still on the same contract we signed him on. We signed him for like 3.5 million. Youngster, he's probably on, in comparison to the first team, is peanuts. So I think you got to look at it as you would look at renewing his contract now anyway, or if you weren't going to sell it on. So I think you'd have to look at his time as a whole, not just the start of the season. And you'd say, would he deserve a new contract? Yeah, I think so. I think obviously this start of the season's emphasised it. He's been really good, but even before that, he stepped in and played. He's done his work for the team. He's played at left back. He's played at right back. He's finally got his go at centre back. I absolutely would give him a new contract, double his wages, keep him happy, and he's going to perform on the pitch if that's the case. So yeah, I'm all for it.
All right. Let's touch on Mane. I think he's 3 years. This will be his third year into a 5-year deal, and this is usually where things kick off. And murmurs come around them and rumours start. Now, Real Madrid started it early. Was it this summer? Yeah, I think it was this summer. Real Madrid started putting out the feelers early. Ian, Mane, 2 years left on the deal. The talk is that they're going to offer him another 3-year extension, which will bring him back to his original 5 years and on the same sort of money as Firmino and Salah. It's a no-brainer to do it, isn't it? And are you confident of it happening?
It's a no-brainer that we'll offer it, but I don't think he'll sign it. I think he wants to play for Madrid.
Okay.
Maybe what is he now? 25. He probably looks at himself being 27, thinking, right, that'll be time for a move. He'll have been at Liverpool for 5 years, and he does fancy Madrid. There's also rumours that he's getting a house built in Spain, isn't it? I don't know how true that is. Again, that's from some bellend who sometimes on.
That's Matt. Matt knows all about the houses.
But no, mate. I think that he will eventually go to Madrid. I'd love him to sign a 5-year deal because I think I've said before, I think he's Liverpool's best player. But I think the best we could possibly hope for is maybe adding 12 months to his current deal and maybe him leaving when he's 28, not 27. That's what I feel. I think he will definitely go to someone like Madrid before the end of his career, and you wouldn't want to leave it too late to go, would you? If that's your mindset. So probably not what people want to hear, but that's what I think will happen. Like.
All right, no, that's fair enough. Matt, do you agree with you? He signs a maximum of 12-month extension on top of that 2 years, or do you think we get him tied down to 5?
Who's this, Mane?
Yeah.
It depends what we do this season. If we win something this season, I think he might stay. A player of his ability, like he's in our top 3, no doubt about it. I know Ian thinks he's our best player, but a player of that ability, they want to win stuff. They just do. I won't hold it against him. If he doesn't win anything this season and he thinks, all right, I want to go somewhere a little bit bigger where he's guaranteed to get a few medals, fair enough. Like, do you know what I mean? He's been here. How long's he been here? 3 years?
This is towards season.
Yeah, and Klopp would have been here 3.5 years, 4 years. Yeah, we've got to start winning silverware. Otherwise, it's fair enough for these players to want to go.
Yeah, it just seems a bit quiet, and like the minute Salah does what he does last season, we tie him down quickly. Firmino tied down quickly. And this one just seems to be dragging on a bit more. Marty, Ian's upset me. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. He's upset me with that view. It's not the first time he's upset me. I'll get over it. But what do you think? Do you think he signs a new deal, or do you think along the line of the lads, he will want to go and play for a Madrid or a Barcelona or something like that? And the best we can hope is probably another 2 seasons out of him.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a coincidence. Obviously, it was this summer that article came out regarding the Madrid interest and an agreement with Zidane, I think it said, or something like that. And obviously now the contract talks seem to be going slow. And some of the comments that he said as well, he's come out and categorically said he wants to win a Champions League. Now we all know that Madrid are kind of the team for the European Cup at the moment. I'm kind of with the lads on this, but I'm not confident. I think his head's been turned. I think he wants to go out there, and I think it depends on if Madrid move. I think if Madrid show some concrete interest, I think he goes. If they move on, he might stay. But I've said it on my Twitter page quite a lot. I'm not confident on his contract situation. He's been offered the same terms by all accounts as the other two. The other two are signing, he hasn't. It's pretty black and white. He's not he's not in a hurry, is he? So, well, I think we have to see how it plays out, but I'm not confident.
Okay.
I think Liverpool now and Klopp, they're quite pragmatic about this type of stuff. It's how football works. Players come, players move on. Ideally, you'd replace him in the next 12 months, and that's, I think, looking in world football is the likes of Leon Bailey and people like that. You know what I mean? Who you would sign and then give him maybe 12 months to learn the trade while Mane's still there. I think that's the way Klopp works. He'll just, you know what I mean? It's just a cycle. Football, players come, players go. There's no point us losing any sleep over it. He won't do the dirty on us on the last day of the transfer window, I would hope. So you just have to plan for that inevitability that he would possibly want to go at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Chris.
Agreeing with Ian here, and segueing onto your next point about FSG, the club's in a much better position to replace him these days. Like I trust the recruitment team, Edwards and the scouts now to find a suitable, if not better, replacement. Okay,
Grace, despite not being on the pod, has gone in next door to his Irish neighbours to rob their Wi-Fi, just to send us the message that the deal for Mane will be announced by November. So,
Real Madrid?
No, just it will be announced by November. He said he's left himself.
So can you ask that Chancellor? Yeah. Why not October? Is that like a deal amnesty where no one's allowed to review a contract?
The lads that do the deals take the week off for Halloween, so that's why you won't see them until November.
Yeah, Mane's just going to sit there and not sign a new deal, so he misses out on fucking about £200,000 just so Grizz can get his November fucking date right.
He's not a fan of October. Doesn't like doing that in October. So there you go. Kev O'Sullivan says he's watching Depay play now and he's improved massively. I couldn't tell you. I don't fucking watch the chap. We're going to do a quiz in a little while, and this is how it's going to work, just so in case people are wondering. It's 3 rounds. All the lads can answer the questions themselves, but what I'm going to do is, anyone that's watching this, if you want to become a team member of one of these 3 lads, just put your name forward and I'll pick 3 people. You can say who you want, whose team you want to be on. You can do what you want. We'll pick something at the end, and then the lads will have to work with you to answer the questions, or they can ignore you for extra points.
I don't want any white people on my side. They're all thick.
Okay.
I'm targeting the Asian audience.
Okay. Right. Hold on, I just double check.
Except Grizz.
Oh, no,
he's the exception to that rule.
Yeah, I know, but it'll take too long. 3 rounds of quizzes with Grizz takes about an hour and a half.
Contact.
Oh no, he keeps asking you, what was that you asked? And he's trying to fucking Google, let's be honest about it. But yeah, we're going to do that quiz in a little while. Matt, you did segue into FSG. I wanted to touch on them because we haven't really gone over them since the season started, and we put a lot of money down in the transfer market. And let's be honest about it, a lot of people are, that were very vocal about FSG are now not very vocal about FSG, and we haven't won anything in the meantime. When they were vocal, we hadn't won anything, and they're not vocal now, and we still haven't won anything. So I don't know what the point is. But Matt, FSG, not so much what they've done. Where do you see them going now? Is this summer that's gone? Is that where their standard is now, or do you think it's a one-off, or do you think they've realised now we have to stay at this level now, and we constantly have to do it in order to compete?
Yeah, well, the net spend is still down, so there's still a bunch of fucking chances. They're just trying to make a quick buck off us, if you ask me. And then they're going to sell Mane for 135 million, and then just buy in a replacement for like 26.
Yeah. So chancers.
We are now commercial giants. We are where we should have been in 1998. We missed the boat and we let United take over us. We let Arsenal take over us with the new stadium, and Man City and Chelsea have taken over us with new owners. We should have built a commercial powerhouse the same way that United did, organically, and we didn't. So what they've done, they've managed to pull off in about 7 years what United have taken 20 years to do, and it's absolutely fantastic. We can now go out and buy an Alisson, and we don't even bat a fucking eyelid. It's not like you don't even think about us doing a Leeds anymore or anything like that. We can go out, buy him, and pay 150 grand wages or whatever we need to, and we just know it's within our budget. They're looking at redeveloping What stand is it?
Anfield Road.
What's the end one? Anfield Road. That'll go ahead, I reckon, within 2 years. And the new training facilities, and we're just going to be a world-class fucking football club. And it's taken its time. They've taken the time to get it right on the field, and they've made mistakes. Not people blaming them, saying they just want to make a quick buck. They haven't taken a penny out of our club. They've made mistakes. That was their biggest fall when they've in the last 7 years, hiring Kamoli, hiring Rodgers, even though he got us close to the title, and all this. They were just mistakes. And they've now got the setup that they wanted with the committee and Edwards and the stats and Klopp who works with these people, and he actually realises that they can add benefit to his team instead of fighting them. And now we're moving forward to like a cohesive unit, and the club is just in such a well-run place now. As I said before, if Manny leaves, it's not one of them where you shit yourself. Manny leaves, you think, all right, well, Klopp's probably prepared for this. Him and Edwards have probably got a list together of 5 or 6 names, and they go out and get them. And whoever they do bring in, Klopp can train and work with, and he'll become the next superstar, like he has with Mane and Salah and Firmino and all these other players that we can just list off. So yeah, FSG have done towards what no other owner could, and I'm not talking about someone coming in and throwing loads of money at us. I'm talking about building a club which can sustain itself for the next 20, 25 years.
Yeah, you've put that very, very well. Just for the record, I think Mane does sign a deal, but I think it'll be in October, not November, just in case anyone's wondering.
No. No one's allowed to sign deals in October.
Oh, no, they are. No, I'm at the ringing there. It's grand that they've sorted out. Some intern's going to do the night shift on Halloween week, so it's all good. Someone's asked there anything on Rabiot from PSG. We'll come back to that later on, because there's been a few bits around that. No, I never heard of it either. Ian, FSG, Matt's put that very, very well. I don't know if you want to add your own bit to it. Is it up and away with these, or is it just they've done it once and they'll probably settle down now and go back to the way they were? What's your feelings on it?
I pretty much just echo everything that Balance just said then. When they first come in, they tried to do it too quickly, and they were throwing massive amounts of money at the likes of Andy Carroll and all that. But the infrastructure was wrong. Do you know what I mean? You can't build on like a wonky infrastructure. Do you know what I mean? So they've gone back to basics. They built us from the ground up again, but everything's moving in the right direction. I think if Klopp had went to them last season and said he wanted a £70 million player, I dare say they'd have backed them then as well. Klopp's always said that. If I wanted a player, they would let me have him. Like Tom Werner has always said, the money's there for any player he wants. They've always said it, and there's no proof that they've never not been telling the truth. Do you know what I mean? Because now they've gone out this season and spunked a mental amount of dough on a goalkeeper. I don't think every signing we sign will still be 60, 70 millions, because Klopp doesn't always work that way. But they've proven now that this is their template now. Do you know what I mean? For all like the young up and coming players that Klopp can mould, you still need to drop the occasional superstar in to bring them along. You can't just have 11 youngsters who are eventually building up to something special. You need special players around them to drag them up, and I think they've cottoned on to that. Klopp's always known that. I mean, I wouldn't swap them for any owner in the country, and I mean that as well. Like Man City, all right. Man City have got like Sheikh Mansour and all his billions and all that, but you can get into all the fucking questionable human rights behind his money. You can go to Chelsea and look at their crazy Russian oligarch who've probably like done more fucking sex trafficking than the entire cast of The Wire. Do you know what I mean? He's fucking.
I don't know if you're allowed to say that, are you?
I just
no, it's fact.
Oh, is it? Okay, well, that's all right. Walk away.
You know what I mean? And then you've got at Arsenal, they've got about 4 owners. One's American, one's Russian. Like they always get on, don't they? It's, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't swap them for anyone. I think they're doing a very good job, and the proof is in the pudding. We need trophies now, but they've put everything in place. If we don't win trophies now, it's on Klopp. It's not on FSG.
Yeah, I just added an allegedly in there at some stage, and we'd be grand. Marty, the reason I wanted to talk about FSG was, you know, obviously for the reason we've spoken about, Matt and Ian have touched on, but this story that was out a couple of weeks ago about was it Sheikh Mansour's cousin or something along them lines, $2 billion deal, and a few bits I've read and has said that Liverpool actually took a meeting with him and done some sort of checks to see if they actually had the money. That doesn't scream to me like, I don't know whether you take that as a club that doesn't want to sell and are just trying to get a value, or they're always interested in the right price they will sell. What do you take? What's your take on it?
I think the one thing that everyone forgets, FSG, they're a business. Yeah, they are a business, and they want success on the field, but they want money as well. Every business does. Every person that works in business, everyone that owns a business, you go into business to make money. Now, don't get me wrong. I think if someone went to FSG with a credible offer, something that blew them out of the water, they would accept, and you couldn't hold that against them. They bought the club for what, 300 million, something around that figure. If someone went up to them and said, "Look, 2.5 billion there," who wouldn't? Unless obviously they've got plans in the pipeline where they could, possibly increase that value, and they can see that, and they're waiting for the longer term. But they probably did look into it. Someone comes up and says, "Yeah, you can make a 1.7 billion pound profit on this club." They've probably gone, "Okay, look, got a middleman to have a look at it, see if it's a legitimate offer, look at the proof of funds, etc." Again, you don't know. I wouldn't blame them if they did, and I wouldn't blame them if they told them, to jog on, because I think moving forward, with the redevelopment of one of the, another one of the stands, the commercial revenue that the club's going to be pulling in, it's just they can make even more than that. I took it with a pinch of salt. I don't think they were really too serious about it. I don't think that the person that came in with the offer was very serious. I think they were looking at doing it was sort of like a group purchase with a Chinese consortium as well. And I mean, it just, that there doesn't appeal to me at all. I don't like the sound of it. I wouldn't want a Chinese owner anywhere near Liverpool Football Club. I just wouldn't. All you got to do is look at Villa, for example. They've got the Chinese guy in, always rosy and great. And then look at the shit state he left them in. They're not renowned for being great business people. Me personally, I'm absolutely delighted with FSG. The only problem has come from a few, gobshites on Twitter. Really, I think anyone that really understands football, understands business, will be happy with them. I think they're going in the right direction, and I'm delighted with them.
Kev O'Sullivan asked there, would this meeting that you've taken to get a value have anything to do with upcoming sponsorship deals? It's not actually a bad way of thinking of it. Them going into negotiations over sponsorship and saying, look, this company you were sponsored for the last 5 years has now gone up to, offers in around 2 billion. It puts them in a lot stronger position. But look, we don't know. It's going to take somebody to come along and actually put a bid in for Liverpool Football Club to find out exactly what they're thinking with regards to sales, and it's going to take another couple of transfer windows and to see what they're made of when it comes to their outlook on transfers and spending money. All we can do is wait. But at the moment, I think personally, I think the club is in a
Sorry, they've said from day one that they would be open to a minority shareholder as well.
Yeah.
They said that anyone comes forward with any sort of credible proposal, whatever, then it's just due diligence to sit down and talk to them. Doesn't indicate a willingness to sell or a willingness to fucking, you know what I mean, just take the best offer and get off. It just means just the brilliant, like Marty said, they're the brilliant businessmen that at the top of the field and what they do. And they've said from day one they would be willing to have a fella or a group come in as a minority shareholder. Do you know what I mean? So I'd never rule that out. Like,
Maverick here says that there was no genuine offer. If it was 2 billion, FSG would have to take it on from a business perspective. You could be right. No, he could be right. You could be right. But having said that, like Ian said there, the minority shareholding thing is the thing that interests me. If they were to sell a part of the club for 350 million, or 600 or 700 million, they could literally take 350 of it and say that's our money that we spent, and everything now is good, and it's free money for them. So there's just loads of different variations on this, from FSG's outlook, minority shareholders, someone trying to buy them out, transfers, money. There's loads of different things going on, but we just have to wait and see. We're going to start the quiz now in a couple of minutes, right? So anyone that's watching now, just stick your name down, or just put one of the lads' names down if you want to answer the questions on their behalf. If we don't get any answers, I'll just do the quiz with the lads. But they might need your help. They're fairly random questions. 2 rounds are about Liverpool, one's just general football. But we'll see how we get on.
American football or
no football,
soccer,
yeah, soccer, man. Yeah, I know how you've changed since today because the NFL has kicked off. You've gone into I know what you're doing. Right, Matt, this guy Rabiot of PSG, 23 years of age. I think he is in his last year of his contract. His mother is his agent. He's been offered big money from PSG, which so far he's turned down at every turn. Do you see anything in this? Is he a player that you've watched?
I've never seen him play. Even when he played in the Champions League and I watched him, I've never seen him.
Sorry, Matt, just to let you know, Vincent, is it Luli or Hooley? Matt, he's answering your questions, Matt. He's put your name up here. He
and Vinny.
Yeah, he said he's white, so he can't help Ian. So that's Ian knocked out. I'm just waiting for the Asian market to open up for Ian. Go on, keep going anyway.
No, mate, I can't really comment on him. I don't know much about it. Well, I don't know anything about him, really. I've heard people say he's a good player. That's it.
Okay. I don't know much about him either. I've seen him a couple of times. He's played every minute I know this season for PSG. Is it Tuchel in charge of them now? Yeah. He seems to rate him. He's put him in and he's played him in most, if not all, the league games so far. I listened and read something on him the other day.